And what I love about her as well is she had a really strong sense of humor, irony, and sarcasm, which was necessary for a big personality like Martin Luther. So once in a while, he would start to pick at her a little bit, and she would just look at him and say, obviously you didn't pray about that sermon you're about to preach. She would really sort of hold her ground. And there was one occasion where he would get very melancholy, very depressed. He would go into serious bouts with depression, and she knew how to snap him out of it. One occasion, the story is told that he was away and returning home, and she dressed in all black like a mourning widow and opened the door, and he was sort of shocked, and she was standing there, and he asked her, "Who died?" And she said, "Well, if the great Martin Luther is this depressed, I just assume that God has died." She had a flair for the dramatic and the comedic. And what happened to Martin Luther is that what started out as, we're not really friends, we don't really like each other, I'm not really interested in her, but I kind of need to marry her because I did jailbreak her out of a convent, turned out to be one of the most glorious marriages outside of the Bible in the history of the world. I would go so far as to say that their marriage is the most important marriage, the most influential marriage in the history of the world outside of the Bible. Because now, the view of Christian maturity was a husband and wife loving one another. And they had a friendship in a day when marriage was primarily functional. And as I've read and studied Martin Luther on this issue, and as Gracie and I were working on this book together, she was reading the biographies of Catherine von Bara, and I was reading the biographies of Martin Luther, and we were studying together and sharing notes. But one of the things that we noticed is that through the course of their life together, his thinking about marriage and his teaching on marriage changed. It went from, well, it just exists to keep us from carnal passions and to give us legitimate offspring, to it really being about friendship. And the laws were changed, and the view of marriage was changed. And life as we know it regarding a healthy biblical view of Christian marriage can in large part be attributed to the Luthers. And here is a statement that he gives a little later in his life about his wife. "There is no more lovely, friendly, and charming relationship, communion, or company than a good marriage." What he's talking about is friendship. This sermon is titled Friend with Benefits. Unlike the culture, we don't have friends with benefits. One friend, married friend, with non-medical or dental benefits. That's what we're talking about.